Hi everyone, my name's Alex and welcome back to the last video in this productivity series, and today we're going to talk about mindset and time management. So it's going to be a pretty short video and we're going to split it up into three parts. So the first part is going to be to make studying or working your default. The second part is going to be to plan to do a lot more than you think you can each day. And the third part is to ignore everyone else around you. So let's get on with this first part. So the main idea here is to make studying your default, but don't plan to study. So there is one exception to this where I personally do plan to study, and that's after lectures. I mentioned this in the previous video, but I always will make time to actually go back and review the lecture on that same evening. So that's the exception. But when it comes to going back over things, which I do regularly, I don't actually plan to do it. So if I find myself with sort of 10-15 minutes here and there, rather than pull my phone out and watch YouTube or scroll social media, I'll pull my phone out and get up Notion on my phone and answer some questions, or I'll sit down at my desk and answer some questions. So I'm not actually planning to do it. It fills the space between other things. So the benefits of this is that you don't actually have to sacrifice doing anything else. If someone says, oh, do you want to go to the bar tonight? And you say, oh no, I've got to study. Well, then you've had to sacrifice going to the bar. But if you don't plan your studying and you just sort of fit it around everything else and make it your default activity, then you never actually have to sacrifice anything. So you don't sacrifice anything social, any sports, any of your course commitments, anything like that. And you end up getting a lot more done than you think. So think of all those times throughout a day, even if you're really busy, where you've got sort of maybe 5-10 minutes where you're not actually doing something, where you'd usually be sitting on your phone or something. So you actually get a lot more done than you think. The only thing it does need is some sort of study method that's really flexible. So not one that requires you to, for example, write a whole essay out in one go, or write a load of notes on this one lecture, because you'll find it difficult to keep coming back to. So it needs to be answering questions. So you can answer one question and then, or two questions or whatever, and then it doesn't matter if you get cut off part way because you have to go and do something else. So check out my previous video on how I do that personally. So my second point is to keep really busy and plan to do a lot more than you think you can. So for example, on some Wednesday last term, I had anatomy at 8:30, a swimming training session at 2 till 4, and a house viewing at 5:30. So I could quite easily make each of these things drag out and fill the time around them. But instead, I kept busy. So before anatomy, I went to the gym. After anatomy, I had some free time, so I did some studying, and then I went shopping, and then I had swimming, and then I ended up doing so much throughout the day. Went to an extra tutorial session. So you actually end up getting a lot more stuff done, and you don't lose the flow of the day. The other big perk is that if you're just chilling, lazing around, which you probably quite enjoy at the time, then everything you have to get up for is interrupting something that you're enjoying, so it feels worse and it feels like a chore and you don't enjoy it. But if you're busy all the time, each thing flows one after the other, and you don't feel like you're being interrupted, and everything's just a lot more enjoyable. And the other benefit of this is that if you plan to get a lot more done, then each thing that you do has to be really, really time efficient to actually get it all in. So rather than things just taking ages and dragging out, you make everything you have to do take as little time as possible, because you need to get a lot more in. And then at the end of a day where you've been really, really busy throughout the whole day, really productive and done lots and lots of different things, it doesn't matter if you are really tired and want to go and socialise or want to go and do something fun, because you've actually done loads. Whereas if you've only planned to do like 2 things throughout the whole day, and then you get to the evening and you actually just wasted all the time between it, then you probably feel pretty guilty about going out socialising or going out doing fun stuff. So it just makes that sort of thing more enjoyable as well. And my last tip is just to completely ignore what other people around you are doing, even if they're like your best mates. So many people will overinflate the amount of work they do. They say, oh, I spent 6 hours in the library on Saturday. Well, you might have spent 6 hours in the library writing notes, highlighting and chatting to their mates. It might not be productive work. And anyway, why does it matter what they're doing? Just trust what you're doing and you'll be absolutely fine. Because if you're studying smart, as I mentioned in the previous video, then you don't need to be spending as much time actually studying. So you can get away with spending a lot less time working. And the other big thing for medical students is that there's such a big stereotype about all medical students have to work really hard, put loads of hours in the library, carry around massive textbooks, draw pretty colourful diagrams of the heart and that sort of thing. Just ignore it. Like, you don't even need to do any of that, because you'll just end up getting really worried and panicky and you won't actually get anywhere. So just focus on what you're doing and ignore what other people are doing around you. If you like this video, then please like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.